Tropical Storm Ampil has been named by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center recently and is expected to become a significant typhoon on the next days, possibly reaching Category 3 and nearing landfall in the eastern coast of Japan, nearby Tokyo as well, which is a really highly populated area. So a lot of people are in trouble if they don't prepare adequately and follow the instructions by the local safety team or the local government or authorities. So let's see what happens, since the conditions are expected to be quite good for the storm in the near future. But so far it's a tropical storm, quite weak but expected to intensify gradually in the next days, positioned at 25.3 degrees north, 138.6 degrees east, and as you can see it's quite looking healthy, a bit sheared on its north, as you can see, partially exposed, but the storm is expected to still intensify gradually as the wind shear decreases or gets weaker on the next hours, and this is when the storm is going to take advantage of the conditions that it has right now to intensify further. So far it's a really small system as well, so fluctuations could be possible, possibly getting more stronger than it's expected or much weaker than it's expected, but let's see what happens. So far the storm has sustained winds of 45 miles per hour with a pressure of 989 millibars, moving to the northeast at 11 miles per hour, practically a 35 degrees movement. This is latest at 12 hours local time in Japan, 3 hours UTC on August the 13th. And the track forecast expected for Ampil is the next. We are expecting that the storm is going to intensify into a typhoon, possibly by the next 2 days, and then rapidly intensifying into a Category 3 typhoon on the next hours after it gets the Category 1 status. Right now we are at code orange by our Force 13 standards internally, but of course this is much by the tropical storm Ernesto threat. By Ampil is called yellow, but still it's expected to increase quite substantially on the next hours. Right now it's expected to become a Category 3 typhoon, and it's about 553 miles to the south of Izu archipelago, 727 miles to the south of Tokyo, and 751 to the south of Kamizu. And Kamizu is a city located in the eastern coast of Japan, in the east of Tokyo, which is going to be the significant threat for landfall as well. Possible landfall expected nearby the city of Kamizu as well. So let's see what happens on the next days. So it's going to be a potential bad situation, storm surge, high winds, rainfall accumulations as well, and the wind shear, as you can see, it's quite moderate around the storm in the north as well, and this is by the outflow of a nearby tropical cyclone that made landfall recently, that was Maria. So of course Ampil will struggle a little bit with the outflow of nearing tropical storms, as well as disturbance in the east as well. Not expected to become quite significant, but of course it's disrupting Ampil circulation by the wind shear level. So let's see what happens or occurs with this storm so far. But the sea surface temperatures are a thing to take note, since it's going to be a really boiling experience for Ampil. 32 Celsius, and extremely favorable for rapid intensification if the wind shear and the dry air gets better for Ampil. So let's see what happens. And since the storm is a really small system, it also has a good chance to actually intensify more than is already expected. The GFS model, as you can see, the storm is expected to become bigger than it is right now, possibly doubling the size after it before it crosses Japan or gets really close to the eastern coast. reaching a category 3 status, intensity 948 millibars at peak intensity possibly, and of course a really high populated area. It's going to be affected if they don't get well prepared. It's going to be a really bad situation than it's going to be possibly if the storm actually makes landfall. And the different model projections, the wind speed is expected to reach about 100 knots of wind speed, 115 miles per hour. Some models are also predicting that it's going to be stronger than that, others predicting that it's not going to be that intense. So there's some debate about how strong the storm will be, but it's going to depend on the conditions in the atmosphere mainly, since the dry air and the wind shear are still affecting the storm, but not that enough to actually disrupt the storm at all. The wind shear, as you can see, it's going to remain quite moderate, and since the storm is a really compact system, it's going to be affected by those wind shear levels quite more than a normal size storm. But the decrease of the wind shear expected in the 15 or 16 on August, and this is when the storm is going to be a category 3 or more intense, depending on how the storm progresses. But so far looking good for Ampil, not so good for Japan, unfortunately. 31 Celsius, and the humidity very low, around 60%, but expected to increase in the next days, around 75 to 80%, which is more than enough to sustain a really high storm intensity. And this is the cyclone of Ampil, and you can see how the storm is being disrupted by the wind shear mainly, and the progress of the storm quite looking healthy despite the wind shear, but expected of course to get better and better on the next hours. And of course keep updated with more videos and updates here in our Force 13 YouTube channel and our social media. We are going to make coverage of Tropical Storm Ernesto as well, since it's getting near to the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico in the Atlantic Ocean. So please also stay tuned with that. We are going to have some activity since the tropics are waking up again. And so far this is the update of Tropical Storm Ampil. We are going to be back tomorrow.
Become an ultimate fan today.